I want to address one of the most common hair loss conditions that Black women especially are facing. Now, some of the things that you need to avoid if you have this condition is diagnose it early. And I'm talking about I want to put women in a position where they are able to transform their hair, but also their lives. And the beauty is that when you work with me in doing one, by default, the other happens. And so in today's video, I want to address one of the most common hair loss conditions that Black women especially are facing and give you the action steps for what to do in order to control and manage this type of hair loss. And I'm talking about CCCA. That is centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. And what does this mean? So it simply stands for C, central, which means it starts at the center of your head. Centrifugal, the second C, means that it spreads centrally. So it spreads from the center. The third C, cicatricial, means scarring hair loss, which is a permanent type of hair loss. And the A stands for alopecia, which simply means hair loss. And as I mentioned before, this is a condition that is predominantly found in Black women. Because of your genetics, there are some things that you will do that trigger CCCA. So some practices would be relaxing. So relaxers can trigger CCCA. Using heat really close to the scalp is a trigger, or using certain products, hair dyes, certain chemicals on the scalp. All of these things can trigger CCCA if you are genetically predisposed to the condition. And so when it comes to addressing CCCA, it's really, really important that you diagnose it early. You need to diagnose it early because when you do so, you are able to manage and to control the condition and therefore possibly avoid permanent hair loss. Now, how do you diagnose CCCA? You need a scalp biopsy. You need to do a scalp biopsy, which is carried out by a dermatologist. And this is going to help confirm whether or not you have the condition. And it's going to put you in the best place to then take the right action in order to address it. Now, some of the things that you need to avoid if you have this condition is if you're a woman dealing with hair loss or looking to improve your hair growth, then I want to invite you to an exclusive day retreat. As a hair care brand owner and trichologist, I'm taking my experience over the last 10 years and I'm sharing key insights with you that are going to help you transform your hair and your life. Using my signature framework, you'll truly understand the science behind hair growth as well as the practical tools and techniques required for you to achieve your hair goals. The retreat includes expert-led workshops on nutrition and mindset and combining scripture and science and delivering a truly unique experience. This is going to be an immersive, luxurious, and intimate retreat, so spaces are very limited. If you want to secure your place, click the link in the bio. The time for phenomenal hair and phenomenal you is now. Practices such as relaxing your hair, right? The chemicals in relaxers, when applied to the scalp, it can cause a response, an inflammatory response. And CCCA, it is an inflammatory hair condition. So you want to avoid anything that's really going to cause inflammation to the scalp. Now, you also want to avoid putting heat too close to the scalp because this is another cause of it. And what happens is whenever it's triggered, you might begin to find that you have an itching or a burning sensation, or the area can be quite sore, it can be quite red, it can look inflamed. And that's an indication that you have triggered the condition. And what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are doing everything you can to, one, reduce that inflammation and to avoid further inflammation. So when it comes to CCCA, I would avoid hair styles that require like I said, chemicals to be applied to the scalp. You also want to avoid using synthetic hair fibers that cause irritation to the scalp. So a lot of the hair extensions that you might use for, let's say, crochet locks, for instance. There are chemicals in those fibers that when it rubs against the scalp, it can actually cause irritation and it can begin to trigger inflammation, which is not good if you have CCCA. So you want to stay away from hairstyles such as those. You also want to avoid tension on the scalp and certain products, even products that might seem like natural products that don't appear to be harmful, they could be triggers. So, for instance, essential oils, you need to know if you react badly or if essential oils cause inflammation on your scalp. And usually you will know because as soon as you apply it, you will begin to feel that burning or that tingling sensation. You want to avoid anything that's going to cause that inflammation. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is your diet, because it's one thing to address inflammation externally, but you also need to address inflammation internally. So, oftentimes when I work with people, one of the things I ask them to do is an intolerance test. An intolerance test helps us to see what kind of foods trigger inflammation within your body. And once we have that information, we're then able to create a plan where you are eating the foods that are beneficial to you and that avoid inflammation. And so that's really, really important. Another thing that causes inflammation within the body is sugar. Sugar, refined and processed sugar. You want to stay away from this as much as possible. And oftentimes people forget that sugar isn't just fizzy drinks and sweets, but even things like carbs, rice, white rice, those when consumed, the body processes it as sugar. So you want to be really mindful of what you're consuming if you want to manage and control the condition. So with the right knowledge and understanding and with the right application, you can manage and control CCCA, and you can even restore to a degree any hair that you've lost. I'm still in the process of researching more about restoring hair loss, especially concerning CCCA. So if you want to find out more, if you want to work with me, if you want to join the Phenomenal Hair, Phenomenal You community, then click the link in the description.